KICS Africa 19 team. So we're going to talk a little bit about what the project is all about and why you're all here. And then we're going to take a group picture together. And then 2 members from this community are going to then lead the rest of the meeting. So I'm very happy to be introducing them in just a moment as well. So let's get started. The agenda is going to look like this today. We'll have a short welcome and a group photo. And then our 2 facilitators, Philomen Sayeng and Christina Kello, will take over. They'll be giving the topic, the objectives, and taking us through an activity, which you should find very interesting. Then we will have 2 speakers. We'll be hearing from a teacher in Tanzania and an expert who works in the government in Kenya. And I won't give away their background yet because we're going to learn about them from our facilitators. And then we'll have a discussion and we'll have a question and answer. And we'll end by democratically thinking about our next steps for the next meeting, our next community of practice meeting. Okay, so a little bit about this project. KIX or KICS stands for 3 words, knowledge, innovation, exchange. And it's a platform for partner countries, including all of your countries, to share knowledge, innovations, and good policies and practices in education with each other. That's the short summary of what KICS does. It's a platform to share good practices, good policies, and knowledge about what's working well in education in these member countries. And we look at on the right, these 6 themes are the ones that we work in. So the bubbles, as you can see, they say teaching and learning, learning assessment systems, early childhood education, gender equality, equity and inclusion, and the data challenge. And so the education topics that we discuss are all connected to these 6 areas. As I said before, my name is Marianne and I'm from UNESCO ICPA. That organization is here on the lower left-hand corner. We, along with UNICEF and the African Union, we 3 help to lead this project. This project is organized and funded by the Global Partnership for Education, that's GPE, and the International Development and Research Center of Canada, that's IDRC. So together, we all work together to make the hub happen. Which countries do we work with? These are the countries highlighted on the map. They're concentrated in Eastern Africa, Western Africa, and Southern Africa. And if you are in this meeting today, your country is probably highlighted on this map. You're probably a member of GPE and a member of the KICS Hub. And finally, this project within the KICS overall hub project that we're talking about and doing here today is a community of practice. A community of practice is in fact, can somebody in this group tell us what is a community of practice? Can anyone unmute or raise your hand? What's a community of practice in your own words?
Yes. Can I
Yeah,
say?
go ahead, John.
Yeah. So community of practice is a group of experts from different countries and that have different skill, different knowledge, and different best practice based on their context that come together to make sure we learn from each other. The things I don't know or the thing that is not working in our own country, maybe that one might be working in Kenya, in other country. So when we can share ideas on that, and we can learn from one another, which can we use to make our own policies, inform our own policies, and make our own system better. That's why we call community of practice.
Beautifully said, John. And I see Philomen has her hand raised too. Go ahead. Philomen from the Gambia. Hello, Philomen. Would you like to explain what a community of practice is? Okay, maybe Nelly, I see your hands up too. Would you like to come in?
Yes, please. I'd like to echo what John has said. That a community of practice is where people in the same profession doing the same thing, like educationists, are able to have a platform and exchange ideas about the best practices in terms of whatever they're doing in common, of course. Like what we are doing is in terms of implementation of competency-based education or competency-based curriculum in different countries. So we are able to share in terms of how to implement competency-based curriculum, how different kind of countries have been doing. And so we can borrow ideas from each other. And so we are able to grow and implement it in a very effective way. Thank you so much.
Right, that's a great addition. And what about that word practice? Can anyone explain why is that word practice part of community of practice? Why practice?
Can I go?
Does anyone else want to come in before you, Nelly? Does anyone want to talk
Right.
about that word practice, community of practice? Who can explain why it's practice? Anyone?
Yeah.
I see.
Hello, everyone of you. My name is Uba from Somaliland Ministry of Education. Hello.
Yes, hi, you're most welcome.
Yeah, if I try to explain for practice, it is improvement of something like education, as you tell before, practices for education access and to practices how to improve child education and like this. That's my. Thank you.
Right, right. Thank you so much. And you're most welcome to this meeting today. Glad to have you representing. So that word practice there is very evocative, isn't it? It calls upon us to do something. It's a verb. We have to practice what we are learning in this space together. It's not just about coming to talk. It's also about trying out an idea, trying it out in our own departments. Salim, I see your hand up. Salim is our teacher from Tanzania. Salim?
To my understanding.
Sorry, Salim, we can't hear you.
Sorry.
Try again. Sorry, Salim, I'm having a hard time hearing you. Is it just me or is it anybody else?
Yes, we can't hear him.
Okay.
We can't hear him.
Okay, Salim, we're having trouble hearing. Salim, we're going to have to move on from this question. Everyone wants to say something. Let's move on. We'll have a discussion towards the end of the meeting because I don't want to take away any more time from the facilitators. I want to actually ask my colleague Gabriel Mekbib from UNESCO ICPA to come in here and share a bit about our knowledge resources. Gabriel, over to you.
Thanks, Marianne, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gabriel Mekbib. I'm the Knowledge Management and Communications Consultant working with the KICS Africa 19 Hub. And so I quickly wanted to share my screen to share some resources that might be helpful. So as part of the Knowledge and Innovation Exchange, we also support knowledge management and knowledge database systems. And so we keep some of those knowledge resources that have been shared in our forums, in our platform report, so they may be helpful moving forward. So let me just share my screen so I can share some hopefully useful resources for the group. And so I would like to share two resources specifically. So the first one is from the African Curriculum Association, and they had had a community of practice on competency-based education in 2021. So you can find our digital repository on the ICBA website, and I'll share all of these links following this. So if you go to our digital repository, you can scroll a little bit down, and then under the teaching and learning folder, you'll be able to find resources from the African Curriculum Association. And so they had shared resources such as a competency-based assessment resource pack, an M&E competency-based learning presentation, and so forth. And the second resource that we'd like to share is from earlier this year, and it's from the Tanzanian Institute of Education. And I see Cosmos and Fika are here as well. And they were the ones who helped lead that. And so the way to find that is going to the KICS Hub timeline. And there you can find both presentations that were shared during that community of practice, as well as the meetings themselves. And so I'll share all of these resources again. But yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. Back over to you, Marianne.
Thanks, Gabriel. Maybe we should take a group picture while we're all together.
Of course, of course, of course. Yes, so if we could all switch on our cameras, it'd be wonderful to capture this moment just so we can remember it. Let me stop sharing my screen. All right, I think half of us have our cameras on. If we keep got maybe 2 or 3 more, I think this picture would look very nice. Angela. All right, okay, I think most of us have our cameras on, so I will quickly take a picture. All right, 3, 2, 1, one more. All right, thanks so much. Over to you, Marianne.
Great, Gabriel, thanks so much. And he's going to be dropping the links in the chat box, like he said. So we encourage you to take a look at the knowledge resources there. There's a lot about competency-based education, assessment, curriculum. It can be a very vague term. So we highly encourage you to take a look at the resources and understand the terms better. So when you come to this space, we can have a fruitful discussion in which we're all talking about more or less the same type of education, rather than some very different forms that might be under the name competency-based, but actually not focusing on competencies at all. It's very easy to go back into the traditional ways in which we have been taught. Now, I just want to introduce our facilitators for today. I'm going to be just sharing my screen, showing you who they are.
Hello, Marianne. There is a lot of noise on the background. Maybe we could ask others to mute.
Yes, if you're not speaking, could you please put yourself on mute? Okay, so colleagues, I'm going to introduce our facilitators for today. We have 2 of them. So we have Philomen Sayang. She is an education officer from the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education in the Gambia. She's working at the Curriculum Research and Evaluation Directorate as a practicing curriculum developer. And we also have Christine Akello. She is working at the Global eSchools and Communities Initiative as an assistant project manager for the ADAPT project in Nairobi. They are both members of the community of practice, and they've been part of the community since June of last year. And we warmly welcome them and give them an encouraging round of applause as they start off the meeting and take us through today's meeting, as well as the next few meetings. They'll be guiding us for 3 meetings. So Philomen, over to you. Would you like to tell us about our topic for today?
Thank you, Marianne. Thank you, everyone, and good afternoon from the Gambia. I am Philomen, as I was introduced to you by Marianne. Our topic for today's discussion is going to be on ICT integration in the competency-based learning. And the objectives for this discussion will center around 4 members discussing how ICT is integrated in a competency-based teaching and learning environment. That is how ICT is used in our everyday classrooms. and in our everyday workplaces. And also the benefits and the challenges we face when it comes to the integration of ICT. The other objective is COP members will exchange contextual knowledge and drive lessons and recommendations for their departments. Here, we'll have to talk about what lessons we all learn when it comes to the integration of ICT and the effects the ICT plays at our various departments, since here we comprise people from different working groups, different departments in our various countries where we represent. Thank you, Marianne. Over to you.
Christine, would you like to take us through the activity?
Thank you, Marianne. Thank you, Philomen, for starting us off.
Thank you.
Yeah, and welcome everyone. My name is Christina Kello, as you've been told by Marianne. I am a practitioner in ICT integration in teaching and learning in education. That is, and since we are all educationists, I'm glad that we'll be speaking a language that is an emerging issue in all our countries. So what I want us to do now is to just look at our screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So I'm sharing a link in the chat. So what you're going to do is to just click on that link and share with us what you see in that picture. What do you see in that picture? I won't talk about what is in the picture because I'll be speaking ahead of everyone else. Thanks, Marianne. So what do you see in that picture? Don't respond to any other question. What do you see? Question one, what do you see in that picture? So kindly click on this link that I've just shared. And key in your feedback, then I'll share my screen immediately after. There's a link I've shared there. It's from Mentimeter, where you're going to key in your feel about what you see in that photo. Great. Someone has already responded. Nice. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can see they're seeing what they're learning. Happy children, digital gadgets, happy children, interest and absorption, 2 girls and a laptop. 1, 2, 3, 4. 11 response, and we are 20. So I'm missing 9. Twelve participants. Is anyone having trouble? we can assist because I'm missing 8 people. Okay, great. So I will share my screen so that we, so that we get to. So this is how it happened. This is what you are seeing in the picture. You saw virtual learning. I don't know how someone can see virtual learning happening. And then we are going to discuss that. There was digital gadgets, children with a computer. I think I also saw that. And they were also happy children. I think I saw that. There were 2 girls and a laptop. We also saw that. I can see 2 children. I can see happy children using a laptop. And then I can see 2 children. I think all that is repeated. So my next question will be, what do you think is happening in that picture? So let me stop share so that Marianne can. Let me stop share so Marianne can share the screen again so that I share my link. Okay, I'm sharing the link.
Christine, we don't see the link.
You don't see the link. Oh, hi, Angela.
Hi.
Hi. Angela is my colleague.
Christine, can we send our answers through the chat box?
No, there's something I want to do with the word cloud. That's why I really want it in the link. Okay, there you go with the link. Great.
Yes, we've got it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Okay.
So what do you think is happening? Nice. They are playing an online game, learning through tablet.
Someone commented in the chat box, an interesting comment that it's inequality because
It's
only
inequality.
one has a headphone, the other one does not.
Oh, okay, okay.
There are chat box comments too.
That's an interesting one. Yeah, they're sharing experiences.
It's a good
They're
point.
enjoying. Inequality in access, one with a headphone and another without. They're watching a tab. Okay. Again, "11 participants have responded out of 20. Are the 8 with us? Okay. So what do you think is happening in the, here are the feedback. Again, I'll just share my screen quickly. I don't know why the 8 participants have not responded, but we'll just move on. Okay, so that's what we have. They are learning through computer, they are playing online game, enjoying browsing, engaging in a game. One with a headset, of course the other doesn't have. 2 kids enjoying content, watching tab, virtual conversation, watching videos on a gadget, watching the screen, they're sharing experiences, appreciating information, and learning through tablet, watching a video, listening to music maybe. Okay, so that's what you think. As you look at that picture, do you wonder, is there any thoughts around what could be happening? So I want us to share, what does it make you wonder? What does it make you wonder? What is it, that deep the thought that you have that's going on in this picture? Again, I'll ask Marianne to share her screen as I share with you the link.
We are still awaiting the link.
Yeah. I don't know why it's a bit slow. Okay, there goes the link. I think my computer had you. There you are. What does it make you wonder? It shouldn't be a long sentence, just a brief statement. What does it make you wonder? If you can't make it on the Mentimeter, then you can kindly share the link. I lost mine. Okay, there you go. Someone is wondering why they are smiling. What are they learning? Someone is wondering the joy they have together. Mhm. We are still wondering. Someone is wondering about the poor infrastructure. Only one has a headset. Someone is also wondering the access to internet. The poor infrastructure. Okay, great. Nice. So I think I'll stop at that. I've gotten all the responses from wondering, and this is what you're telling us about what you think is going on, what you're wondering about. I think, Marianne, maybe again you can stop share so I can share. So that's what you've shared with us. You're wondering about sharing resources, the joy they have together, poor infrastructure, and they still have the gadgets. You're also wondering, where is the teacher? That's a nice one. And why they are all smiles in such a poor environment or poor infrastructure. What are they really learning? Why only one headset? You're also wondering about the excitement, how ICT elicits interest, their access to internet. That's a big wonder. The class environment. Technology has been brought to such a class and all children are happy. You're also wondering about the fun, the happiness. Great. So that's what you think, that's what you see, and that's what you wonder about this. And why we are doing this is because we are talking about ICT integration in teaching and learning and asking ourselves, if this excites us, how much more will it excite our learners? If this is the way in which we are going to be asking students to share what they think before maybe we even ask them, so that we are learning from known to unknown, so that we are asking them, what is it that you know about this before you introduce your topic? So I think this is an interesting way, and I appreciate the feedback that we have gotten. So we can see, we can think around it, and we can also wonder in the same lesson. So back to you, Marianne. I think in our next, sorry for that, Marianne, Philomen will introduce Mr. Kibwana in our next session. I don't know if Marianne wants to introduce Mr. Salim.
No, go ahead, Philomen.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Christine, for that wonderful activity. I hope we have learned something.
Thank you.
Next, I will call upon the teacher, who is Salim Kibwana. Salim is a physics teacher in Shaba Robert Secondary School in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. He will have his presentation on his experience on the use of ICT in implementing curriculum, implementing ICT in competency-based curriculum. Salim, over to you.
Thank you, Philemon. Can you hear me there?
Yes.
Thank you for the introduction. Actually, I feel proud to share with you my experience in using ICT while teaching in classrooms. And in short, I can say that ICT information and communication technology, it is the world of today, whereby students can be united in a classroom. Students can be united even outside the classroom. and still the message to be sent to them. Now I'm going to share my experience on using of ICT in implementing the CBC, the competence-based curriculum in Tanzania, how I do in my classroom. In this 21st century, I think it is a need for every individual, including children, to have all the skills of 21st century, including the critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. So how can we make these students being creative in a class by using an ordinary way of a teacher standing in front of a student or in front of a class and guiding them through a blackboard? It is a bit difficult because many students won't be interested with the lesson. You will end up talking by yourself, and even the goal won't be reached. So the most important thing I can speak today is that in this century of today, 21st century, these children are born in such a way that technology is a language to them. So as a teacher, if we will be able to use technology to reach these students, then it will become so easy for us to meet our goals. That is, having a very creative people, having a very responsible citizens, and other things. So when it comes to ICT, I will share with you what I exactly do in class. It was during the 2020, in the COVID lockdown, where it was a bit difficult to reach these students because they were at home and all schools were closed. Luckily in Tanzania, we had no this lockdown, but all schools were closed. Now the question was to us, how can we reach these students and teach them? Because some of them were losing hope, hoping that they won't have schools anymore, they won't study, so they were finding something else to do. But because of technology, I can say we sat down and see what can we do in order to reach these students. The following were the platforms I used to reach my students. This was including the WhatsApp groups. Actually, by then, it was not a common thing for us to use WhatsApp groups, especially with parents, because the students were not having phones. So we were to call the parents, ask them if they are using WhatsApp, and then make a group for every class. So being a teacher and also a class teacher, I was responsible to make a special group for a particular class, that is my class. And also as a subject teacher, I was also responsible to make all the content which I'm going to share with them very quickly because time was not there. So the other platform which I used actually is the Zoom Cloud meeting. And I can say also in 2020, it was not that much common. So many students were not aware of it. Many parents were not aware of it, but I managed to use it. Coming to the other one, this was Google Classroom. In Google Classroom, I can also say that it's a very recent one, but it's very helpful. And I've been using it for a long period now, almost 2 years. The other one is exam.net. Exam.net assisted us on how can we assess what we are doing. So giving examinations, giving tests to those students who are at home. And luckily, we were also having payment. This was a special program whereby the school enrolled and every student were having a special account in such a way that they can learn mathematics online. So all the topics were there, depending on the curriculum we are using. And all the students were having this account. So when they were at home, it was easy for a teacher to assign them a duty, assign them a task that go through this and learn and give me the feedback while they were at home. So they were using computers, laptops, smartphones, tablets, and other means of devices which can support this. I can say it was a bit successful by then because it is like 70% of students were able to be met in this system. Actually, I can also speak on what is the best when it comes to the use of ICT in a classroom. How will the teacher, how will the student benefit when using the ICT? In a competence-based curriculum, every individual or a student is expected to have, or simply to say, I can say, to use his ability, skills, and knowledge to do something. By using technology, it is easy to enhance all this to be acquired by students. Number one, if I will use ICT, I can say it simplifies teaching and learning process. Only if the teacher will be prepared this in advance before going to class. So you need to prepare this early in advance, and then you go with it in class. Then it will be helpful to you, and it will take a bit short period of time to acquire a very big portion. Number two, it saves time to some extent because you can share many things at a time, many class at a time, many students at a time, if you are using this ICT or technology. It makes the lesson more interesting. In the world of today, these students or children has got a lot of things to do. If the lesson won't be interesting, actually you're going to lose them. So how will you grasp them? How will you pull them in your class? You need to be a bit creative in such a way that they will listen to you and they will not think of other things. So by using the technology, it is easy to catch them up and go with them to the goal you wish to attain. It also gives children confidence to speak. As we have seen in the pictures here, if you will assign these children a task just before the lesson, while they were at home, I can say one day before, and then the next day you allow them to speak in a class, then they will be more confident simply because they will have something to speak, rather than having students in a classroom, and then in the same day, you ask them, can you speak about something which they have never heard? So some of them will not speak, some of them will feel shy. But if you will give this early in advance through technology, maybe you can send through the WhatsApp groups, you can send through the Google Classroom, you can send through the Zoom like this, then they will be able to work on it. And tomorrow, or even in the same day, some of them will start replying to you that this is what we know, this is what we know. So it becomes easy for the next day in the classroom. Also, it provides unlimited resources for the learning. As a teacher, sometimes you might find something is new to you and you need to explain it to students. By using technology, it becomes easy. It's just a few minutes, you can go and know what exactly it means and be able to explain to students. But turning to children also, children will be able to know even beyond the teacher when it comes to technology. So you need to go to work very fast in such a way that students will be there to listen. Otherwise, you will speak what they know and they won't listen. So in this technology, there is unlimited number of resources where children can go and search and get what they want. The work of the teacher will be only to guide what to read, what to acquire from the technology. There is another point there that it creates equality. Actually, it sounds a bit different here. When I say equality, I mean that something like uniformity. Think of a country having, let's say, 400 schools, and you wish all schools to have the same thing. By using technology, it's a bit easy because you can share all this information to all the schools within the same time, and all of them will acquire the required material. So it will be equal for all. But also think of having a classroom in such a way that there are those students who are good and those students who are not good. I can say fast learners and slow learners. With the technology, it is much simple because you can assign a special duty for those who are weak and special duty for those who are very fast in learning. So you go with all at a time, rather than being in front of a class and try to separate them, that this should stay this side and this should stay this side, and try to go with them at a time. It will be a bit difficult, but with technology, it is quite easy. You just split this task, go to these people, and this task go to that people. At the end, the goal will be the same because they will understand to what level you wish for each group. So those are the best things about using technology in the classroom, which I can share with you today. And maybe if I go the next part, what will be the role of parents to the use of technology? Here, it is where it's a bit difficult actually, but I have tried my best and I have succeeded to some point. The first role of a parent will be to provide all these necessary equipments, including the smartphones, tablets, computers, internet, and other things. Because in some cases, this work is to be done at home, not in school. However, even in the classroom, you can use the technology. But because technology has no limit, then we need not to have an ordinary way. That means lessons should take part only in a classroom. No, these days, learning can take part at any point, any moment. So even at home, there is where we will need parents' role. So after giving all these necessary equipments like internet, computers, and other things, still parents will need to monitor what students, what children are doing at home. As I have just mentioned before, these people, technology is like communication to them, especially those who are exposed to these who are living in town or urban areas, as compared to those who are living in rural areas. So they know many things in such a way that if you won't give guidelines to them, they will go away in such a way that they will be losing rather than gaining something. So as a parent, he or she needs to monitor what the child is doing while at home. The other point is parents need to give feedback to teachers what the child is doing at home. If teachers won't get any feedback, then you may find that you end up blaming the child that he is not working, he is not doing this and that, simply because you don't know what is taking part at home. So we are expecting that the interaction will always be there between the teacher and the parent to know what the child is doing while at home. Next, support from the school and government. Coming to my side, I can say that the support I'm getting from the school is that the school have organized a very good seminars. Teachers are getting the seminars on how to use ICT in the daily teaching in classrooms. But also the school has a special department of ICT, which is responsible to monitor all the equipments, all the necessary procedures required to followed by the teacher in implementing this process of using ICT in the normal learning and teaching, or teaching and learning. In my school also, I can say the school have tried to enroll different platforms whereby students can learn online, like that one I said, HeyMates. Students were able to learn mathematics while at home, while out of school, simply because it was found that mathematics is a bit hard, many students are running away. So that was the easiest way to attract students to mathematics. Go and learn at any point. But coming to government also, government have tried a lot. I can say since that COVID 2020, it works all of us up. Immediately the government started to have a special program in the televisions by then when students were at home. So I can say that was a big support that students were also able to learn through their televisions. But that was not enough. The government have also tried. A special appreciation goes to Tanzania Institute of Education, where they have managed to create online books and textbooks, whereby students can now read these books online. But they have not ended there. The government also have started distributing the tablets to all teachers and providing seminars to teachers on how to integrate ICT in CBC. So I hope this is a good step made by the government towards the use of technology in daily teaching. Another point, going to another part, what are the challenges in using ICT in learning? Actually, here there are a lot of things to speak, but I will speak those which I have experienced during the implementation of this ICT in CBC. The first one is the limit of internet to some children. I can say in general, many countries in Africa, internet is not everywhere. And if it is there, then it is not fast enough to facilitate this, like Zoom or Google Classrooms and other many platforms. So it is a bit weak, and many students can fail due to that. Number two, there is also limitation of some children when it comes to family matters now. They are not allowed to use this technology. Students are not allowed to watch televisions. Children are not allowed to use smartphones. Children are not allowed to go in the internet. But the other thing is the cost. The cost of internet is still high. Conducting a meeting of 2 hours, not all can afford. So you will find that even in my teaching, when I wish to use the Zoom meeting, I will take only 30 minutes or 20 minutes explaining a very short concept, and that is if necessary. When they are not around or they will not understand, there is where I can use. But also there is YouTube nowadays. You can record yourself. So I used to record some clips, short clips of all those hard parts and share with them or give them time to watch. So again, when it comes to course, you will find the next day, many of them have not watched simply because they had no internet. The other issue there, it is the ignorance. Not all are good in internet using all technology. So you will find children depends maybe on his sister's, his father's laptop, but the father cannot do anything, cannot assist the child on how to use this. So the child cannot even bring it back to school. So when they're in school, we get another task now of teaching them how to use it. So it goes a bit longer. So time for finishing our syllabus and all that becomes again a challenge. So ignorance is also a part of it. There is also lack of self-discipline. Not all students are easy to follow in the instructions. Others are actually very difficult to give them conditions. I will share you one experience I got when I was using the Zoom meeting during the lockdown. Those students who were not interested with the lesson, actually, you will find some of them join the meeting while in their beds. So you will be speaking and the child are on the bed. Actually, they are not recording anything. Sometimes they will switch off the video. Sometimes they will, whatever they can play with you in anyhow. So it needs also self-discipline. So you need to guide the students on how you will use this technology and how will it be helpful to you. I can say that is what I can share with you today, unless there is any question. Otherwise, I would like to thank you, the UNESCO who invited me in this meeting, and also the Tanzania Institute of Education for selecting my school, Shaban Robert Secondary School, to represent or to share my experience on how I use ICT in integrating the CBC competence-based curriculum teaching. Thank you.
Thank you, Salim Kibwana, for that wonderful presentation. Indeed, we've learned from your experiences out there in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Over to you, Christine, for the question and answers.
Thank you, Philomen. And thank you, Mr. Salim, for taking us through how it happens in class and highlighting the challenges that you experience and maybe the questions that come out of ICT integration in teaching and learning. I just want to ask us to present our questions to Salim before I take us through the next session. Are there any questions? Is there anyone
Yes,
with yes?
Yes, Kristen. Salim, thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. I've really learned a lot and how you were able to use ICT, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, to make sure your students were learning. You have also pinpointed the number of benefits of using ICT, which are very, very good and exciting, and numerous kind of challenges with ICT. But I've not heard you talk about ensuring safety to learners, especially when using these kind of gadgets or while integrating ICT in learning. I think you were very aware that this is a kind of a time as learners try to learn using these gadgets. It can also be a challenge in terms of them, again, ensuring their safety, especially online, because there are various sites they can visit online. There are different kind of content online that can really hinder their effective learning or can also lead to moral decay. I don't know how you're able to address that. Thank you.
Maybe just to reply on that, I hope you can hear me there.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you, Salim.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, to make sure that how I monitor students not to go, or children not to go beyond what I expect is like what I said. Sorry, I can see the one hand up.
You can go on.
Good afternoon, all. Yeah, from Sierra Leone. Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation you have done. I have two questions. You discussed, first of all, this is online teaching you did. That is, let's say, during the Corona or when there are no school. And I want to know how students do interact among themselves during that time while it is online teaching. And secondly, I have not had you giving us example how this can be done in the classroom, because we are talking about this virtual you talk about, but in the classroom, how do you think this will be done, and how do you make sure that those children that are connected online are self-disciplined? Like you rightly said, most people will just come and connect, but sometimes they will be doing different things. So what do you do to make sure that you instill discipline in them, to make sure they not only connect, but they also make sure they follow? And the next one, as I said, how PPs were able to interact during this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Salim. Thank you, Salim. What I'd wish you to do is just write down the questions, and then once we are done with the questions, you'll come in and respond to them. So anyone else who has a question?
Yes.
There's one question. There's one question
Yes.
before you come in. Salim, there's a question for you. Where do they charge their tablets, and do they have electricity? What about internet access? Again, write that. I think you'll respond to it. Yes, someone else too. Somebody was talking. Go ahead.
Yes, it's Philomene from the Gambia. Salim.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to ask a question with regards to the less privileged. How do you cater for them? Because you've mentioned as part of your good practices that you've opened a WhatsApp group in the classroom. So what about those poor people who cannot afford smartphones to receive, to open up WhatsApp? How do you cater for them?
Sorry, can I repeat that part?
Yeah, I mean, as part of your good practices, you've mentioned a WhatsApp group that is being created in the classroom. Now,
Yes.
how are the less privileged people, those are the poor, how are they catered for? If in a case they are unable to provide smartphones for their children in order to receive WhatsApp notes for the lessons.
Okay. Thank you.
Patu wants to ask a question, my colleague Patu.
Salim, good
Okay, can you
afternoon.
answer?
Yeah,
Yes.
this is Fatou from the Gambia. Thank you for this wonderful presentation of integrating ITC into the competency-based learning. Okay, I was just asking because you presented several challenges that you face. And like what I observed in the Gambia, how kids interact with telephone, how they use mobile phones at home and the like. So I was just thinking, like, you talk about the self-discipline that they have using their gadgets. So can you tell us like a percentage of parents reporting to you of these children who are abusing these gadgets while during lessons and the like at home? So can you tell us a percentage, how many of these parents complain of the children misusing their telephones?
Okay.
Thank you.
With the questions. Great. So Salim, kindly respond to the questions that have been presented.
Okay, thank you. Let me start with the first one, which is, have I succeeded in this, or what are the success I've got from the use of ICT in technology? in implementing CBC. Actually, I can say I've succeeded because coming to the subject I'm teaching, which is physics, I was able to rise the performance and even students who are joining, because physics is an optional. So I've been doing this especially for a level, we call it Form 2 in our country, where students will be able to choose whether they are to join arts or science. So by the use of ICT, I have managed to pull many students to join science because I have raised their ability or performance, I can say. So to some extent, that is a success to me. And also when it comes to the overall performance of the subject, students are now performing better as compared to previous, especially when they are involved in this method of teaching rather than the ordinary one, because it makes them anytime ask the teacher a question and you can reply them at any moment. The second question is, how is it done in classroom? Actually, I can say here it depends with the infrastructure of the school, but I'm talking about the school which is in rural area recently and one which is in urban area. The one which is in urban area, it becomes easy because many schools will have electricity and they will also have these computers and internet. So it becomes easy for a teacher to take only maybe a laptop and a projector and then present on a whiteboard what he wants students to know. But remember, using of ICT, it doesn't mean that you project things on the noteboard and that's all. No, a teacher needs to be a bit creative. So it's like an art. A teacher should create something which will make the lesson a bit interactive. I will give you one example. In physics, there is maybe a simple topic like Archimedes principle. This topic is very difficult to explain it in a class because by then the students are very young or the children are very young. It is in Form 1, Form 2. So they are almost 11 or 12. So they won't understand anything. But by using a video, you can take a video, share with them while they're at home about Archimedes principle. You can also ask them to go through a link. So you provide them a link, maybe in a YouTube, go through this, then they go through it. And then tomorrow when we meet in class, I will have prepared a number of questions and project them on a wide screen for them now to answer the question accordingly, depending on what they saw in the video. So that is how I make it. But also a teacher can create something for all. That means students while in school, they can use the school computers and work individually in each computer and give the reply immediately. Now this is for urban. When it comes to rural areas, actually, it is a bit difficult, but I can say what is used there is phones, smartphones, because nowadays many will have smartphones. Actually, not all, but they can share when they are at home. While in school, I've said the government is now trying to make sure that all teachers will have tablets, even in rural areas. So all the government schools will be having these tablets. And in my country, I can say we are lucky that government have tried to make sure that all the villages have got electricity. So it is not that much a big issue. But for those who are not having also in their home places, they will have the solar system where they can charge them and things can go. So that is how is it done in a classroom. I say it is simply an art. So a teacher should be able to create something which is useful to students, not only projecting and ask students to write like notes or what. The other part is how to control discipline when it comes to students who are not in school, maybe they're at home, they're a bit far. This is through parents. We used to have several meetings with parents, and in that WhatsApp group, there is where I will use the WhatsApp group to send a message to the parent that your child is misbehaving maybe in this and that and that. So you will be required to come to school. So when parents feel that they are to come to school, then they will monitor what is going on with their children at home, and they won't tamper with this technology. Okay, now the other one is how to charge the tablet that I've mentioned. When it comes to tablets, the country have tried all the best, make sure that all the villages have got power, electricity, but also individual parents have tried to have solar system and backup whereby they can charge these tablets. So it's not that much big. However, it is not 100% that all schools will have access to electricity. Few of them. The other question is how WhatsApp groups are used while students are in the rural areas and the parents are not having smartphones. As I've mentioned before, when it comes to technology, it has its limitation. So for those who cannot access, actually it becomes a bit difficult for those who are not having smartphones. But as a teacher, I think because it is something they can afford, if you wish to put it in practice, then you can ask the parents, call the meetings, and guide them to the advantages of using this. They will try to have, even not all, but they can share to some extent. And that is why the government is coming with a policy of every teacher to have these tablets so that they can even use them in class. So I think later on, even the students will need to have tablets within the school so that it will simplify, because having laptops and desktops, sometimes they're a bit difficult to handle as compared to tablets. Another question is...
I'm so sorry, Mr. Salim, to interrupt, but I'm wondering if Christine or Philemon think that we should move on, because we did have one more speaker. I don't know if he's joined. I can't see from the list of participants, but do we have Mr. Tom Okaya with us from Kenya?
No, he isn't with us. I will take that session.
So I am around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm around.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Welcome, Mr. Tom.
So can we
Thank you.
move on? Mr. Salim, maybe you can speak a bit at the end, or you can answer the questions in the chat box, but I think we've realized the time is quickly escaping. It was very interesting, but we do have to move on now. So Christine, could I ask you to introduce Tom?
Okay, thanks, Marianne, and thanks, Mr. Salim. When we have much time, you'll be able to explain more on the issues. You can see that there are so many issues on ICT integration, because everybody is wondering, how do I do this? How do I do that? So welcome, Mr. Tom. We would just like you to briefly take us through the ideals of ICT integration in teaching and learning.
Yeah, so thank you very much.
Okay.
I apologize that I joined later, but at least I got the presentation by Salim on how he has integrated ICT in his country. And I think that is quite phenomenal. Now, allow me to talk about integration for competency-based curriculum and assessment, and talk about teachers' experience. And I'm referring to the Kenyan teachers' experience. And I'm talking as one of the people who are implementing the ICT. So might we go to the next slide? So like I said, at the commission.
Tom, allow me to cut you short. Kindly introduce yourself.
My name is Dr.
Yourself.
My name is Dr. Tom Boya. I am Assistant Director at the Teacher Service Commission, Quality Assurance and Standards, in charge of teacher performance and development in Kenya. I think that's my right introduction.
Thank you.
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach maths and physics. I was in class for about 10 years. Then I worked as a national trainer at the Center for Mathematics, Science and Technology Education in Africa. I've also worked as a sub-county director for Teacher Service Commission, and now I'm based at the headquarters in Nairobi.
Okay, thank you. Just go ahead.
Yeah, on this, I wanted first to give you a background that the commission is mandated to recruit, to employ and to deploy teachers, advise government on teaching profession, and coordinate teacher professional development. So ICT integration is basically a teacher professional development initiative. It falls under teacher development. And in Kenya, we are looking at teacher development based on a 7 standard, which we call Kenya Professional Teaching Standards. That guides the teacher professional development, the TPD. We have a TPD program in the country that runs. The standards emphasize on professionalism, also emphasis on pedagogical content knowledge. It also emphasizes on assessment and reporting, inclusive education, comprehensive school health and safety, financial literacy, and social leadership. So when we think about professional development in our country, then we are looking at it based on the 7 standards. And we see the functions of this as being well embedded or being driven with technology. We have actually used technology to be able to attain these standards. We use technology for professionalism. We use technology to ensure that the teachers' pedagogical knowledge is enhanced. We use it for assessing and also for appraisal, and to bring inclusivity. At least we think of the areas where there are serious teacher shortage and how we can employ technology to be able to mitigate, to narrow the gap in the shortage. Next slide. So just briefly, the 4 issues that I can pick out as being very impactful strategy has been the fact that we have digitized the human services in the TSC. We have actually digitized functions. Teachers would operate online. They register for the TSC number from online. Recruitment is done online. Application for things like leaves, transfers are all done online. Payslip and online. So that digitization has also been a form of integration of ICT. It has forced teachers to start making every effort to be able to acquire basic ICT skills. So it's been a motivator in terms of ensuring that our teachers are able to utilize technology for a day-to-day. We're actually looking at ICT skills as life skills. They are no longer just standing out as just ICT skills. Now it's a life skill. It's something that you need to use to survive in the profession. We have adopted an appraisal system which is online. The appraisal system is based on where teachers are having to be appraised based on the standards, 5 standards that we talked about earlier. There is an appraiser, there is an appraisee, there is also a countersigner. So we have a system where teachers are able to share knowledge, peer review, but they do that in a platform where it is encouraging accountability. It is also encouraging you uploading evidence on what you do, and lesson observation, you put evidence on it. That also has enhanced ICT acquisition among our teachers. So before they go to class or whenever they come to class, they have to account using this platform. We have also empowered the teachers to be able to exactly what Kibwana was talking about. Kibwana narrated a very good lived experience about how he has used different platforms to be able to reach his learners. And I think that is fantastic, that is excellent. And I think we are also looking at that as a way of mitigating in future. Should there be a pandemic, then our teachers will not go back to sitting at home and say they have nothing to do, but they would be able to use remote learning methodologies as a strategy for enhancing continuity in learning. The other one is about adoption of the live streaming lessons, something that we have also felt it is a game changer in terms of being able to bring teachers from different locations, students from different locations to learn together and also share experiences. This is also a way of encouraging collaboration, the community of learning, community of practice. I think that is one thing that we have adopted as a commission. The next. So I have talked about TPAT as being that. I think that we have talked about. We can go to the next one. So we have the 5 standards. The teachers are able to be appraised based on their professional development, based on their conduct professionalism. So this helps this. So in the past, we relied on reports from the ground. We relied on our school visits, which is expensive, time consuming. But now we are able to get to know what teachers are doing based on, we can rate their performance. Next. And we have seen that practice. When we started, if you look at this between 2020 and 2021, you see the percentage of teachers who are able to start the appraisal process and complete has risen from about 70% to 93%. That speaks about how the teachers are acquiring the digital skills. So this time we are very sure that when the teachers the teachers now are not only relying on the forward learning, they are able to do that even during the holidays, such a time. The teachers are able to engage their learners continually, because now the acquisition of the skills is evident. So we developed a manual for remote learning methodologies that is online. Teachers now can learn. We appreciate continuous professional development, and we have done more than 160,000 teachers trained on this. That's about 50% of the teaching force. We actually see that there is a lot of support on these remote learning methodologies that is coming for more trainings on RLM. We can go to the next slide. Yeah. I wanted to share this video. I don't know whether Christine it is active, but this is an example of an impact, yeah.
Na tume ya kuajiri walimu hapa nchini maarufu kama TSC imezindua majaribio ya mafunzo kupitia mfumo wa kidijitali katika shule 12 kaunti ya Bungoma. Tayari walimu 1163 walikuwa wamepokea mafunzo kote nchini kuwezesha mfumo, ikiwa ni huu kama anavyoarifu mwanahabari John Makuba. Anatujuza mengi kutoka kaunti hiyo.
Metals require heat to react with the air. Okay. Hii ni shule ya upili ya Kibabi iliyoko eneo bunge la Kandui, kaunti ya Bungoma. Wanafunzi wa kidato cha pili wanaendelea na somo la kemia kupitia mfumo wa dijitali. So lilac flame is purple, blue purple flame.
Now, to the benefit of our colleagues who are not Swahili speakers, this is a remote learning lesson which is being streamed live by one teacher in a school.
And what we are saying is that with this kind of network connectivity, with this kind of remote learning, we shall have one teacher reaching many schools and many students. And this one will be a stopgap measure.
To absorb carbon dioxide. David Wamono ni mkurugenzi mkuu wa kampuni ya Center for ICT Integration. Anasema kwamba ujio wa janga la uviko 19 ulichangia wadau mbalimbali kubuni mbinu mbadala za kuhakikisha kwamba wanafunzi wanaendelea na masomo yao hata wakiwa nyumbani.
Been able to organize these lessons today in different institutions. We have been choosing at least one school per sub-county to take place in this TSC test run.
Pili ya Mtakatifu Luka Kimilili ni mmoja wa walimu waliopokea mafunzo hayo. Anasema mfumo wa mafunzo ya dijitali utawarahisishia walimu kutekeleza masomo ya CBC.
With the coming of CBC, digital literacy is one of the key competencies, and therefore I can say, since TSC with the help of the Ministry of Education rolled out the CBC, remote learning is going to come in handy.
Like lithium carbonate, Walimu na wanafunzi wamepongeza hatua hii, wakisema mfumo huu utasaidia kuimarisha viwango vya elimu hasa kwa shule za mashinani.
One teacher is able to interact with the students from a number of schools. And such a kind of experience is so good because we are breaking from the monotony of one teacher in a school.
The world has now become a global village, and the only way we can empower our children to attend the same classes with other children elsewhere in Kenya and in the world is to embrace ICT and invest in ICT in our schools.
We are able to share notes like new terms, in example in chemistry, biology. We are able to know more from other school.
Hata hivyo, changamoto kuu ni ukosefu wa interneti hasa katika shule za mashinani. Ila mkurugenzi wa TSC kaunti ya Bungoma anahimiza shule mbalimbali.
Yeah, thank you. That was good.
Yeah, so the ICT integration, if you look in regard to CBC, once digital literacy is one of the core competencies. But of course, it is from observations least evident in teaching and learning. That is the current status. Not so many teachers are able to use it. Use of online resources in Kenya, we as a country, we have created a cloud where we can share resources, that teachers can access the same resources. So that is the issue of equity, which is very good. We have seen that even the assessment, the Kenya National Examination Council is also requiring teachers to download assessment, so that now we are seeing that the assessments are shared through online, and also the use of e-portfolio for assessment. So these are initiatives that are being utilized for enhancing ICT integration in the current competence-based curriculum and assessment. The next. So, but challenges are notwithstanding the success that we have mentioned, teachers' attitude still remain a big issue. It ranges from neutral to low. When I say neutral to very low, it means that there are teachers who still feel that ICT is not for them and they are resistant to change. I think we need to do more work on that. Infrastructure is still an issue. Power, internet, and devices are not accessible to most teachers. In some areas, of course, currently teachers must dip into their pockets to get a laptop. So it is not a very common thing to see in a secondary school that teachers have laptops, just a few. So heavy workload, teachers still feel that requiring that they start developing an ICT integrated lesson is actually adding more work to them, and that hampers their utilization. So way forward, if I'm to make a recommendation, and I think that's the final slide, the way forward is the next slide. Yeah, we need continuous professional development on ICT. That one we are determined as a country, as a commission, that we will continue engaging our teachers, we'll continue empowering them, we'll continue partnering with stakeholders to be able to provide continuous teacher professional development to enhance their digital skill. So community learning, that is something that we have lesson studies in our country, and it's an opportunity for us to continue building on that. The live streaming is an example of community of learning, where teachers come together and they're able to stream their lesson. So today, a teacher in a school X is teaching chemistry topic 1. The next week, a teacher in school Y will be teaching. That type of collaboration and webinars will be able to, and of course, the last thing is to incentivize teachers teaching with technology. When I talk about incentivize, then I think about if we give them laptops, if we encourage them, we help them acquire the devices, then they would be able to use this in their class more often. So thank you very much. I think allow me to stop there.
Thank you, Tom, for that. I want to appreciate what you have just shared, especially the clip where that's talking about how ICT is happening, so that it's happening in small chunks, and we are hoping that with time, all these will be there'll be a multiplier effect, and we'll have not only Bungoma talking about this kind of virtual learning, but even other counties and even in the region. So I just wanted us to have the very final discussion. But before we go there, I would like to share my screen so that I also just take you through ICT integration. How does it look like from a teacher's perspective? Because you have seen Tom has brought it from a teacher manager's perspective. So as a teacher, what does ICT integration look like? What is it that education practitioners need to know and understand about this ICT integration? Because I think it's the elephant in the room in education. So the question we are asking ourselves, because this is something I think so many people have asked me, if I have a computer lab at school, are we definitely computer literate as a school? Because my school learners, they are exposed to Word, PowerPoint, and those kind of things. So that is a question that most people ask. If my child is able to download those games at home, is that child ICT literate? So ICT integration in teaching and learning is the use of technology in education, and it could be through computers, tablets, smartphones, radios, and it is used to enhance your teaching. So I like the radio bit so that when I am in a remote area and I'm not able to do those things that Salim was talking about, then I can improvise my phone, maybe with some little data. And I'm struggling with my students to show them, how does pollination happen? What is a pollen grain? How does it go into the, all those kind of nitty-gritty things in science, integrated science now. So I will check on my phone if I have some little data and download maybe a video and share it with my learner, just that one phone. I will be integrating technology in my teaching. If I do not have all those issues that the access to this and access to that. So it's just bringing in this technology into the classroom and helping the teacher do that which they were not maybe able to do. Then what is the role of ICT in teaching and learning? So the goal of ICT is to enhance educational experiences and support student learning and achievement. Actually, when we're talking about ICT, in learning, we are changing the mindset of the teacher, that a child is supposed to be your friend. We are supposed to be having fun in the classroom. How do we sit in a class when we are integrating ICT? I have my phone and I'm in a class of 50 students. Am I going to give my phone to each 50 students to look at the NINI and the lesson is only 35 minutes? No, I'll put them in groups. So the system where we are sitting and facing the teacher is the owner of the authority of the knowledge. I think we are coming to an end of that era. So that a classroom is a place where, teacher, can I have your phone? Teacher, can I check this? I have not seen it clearly. How do I zoom? So we are helping each other. In fact, the teacher will also ask the student, yes, I have the phone, but I don't know how to Google. Who knows how to Google in the class? Can you check for us this and that and that? So that era where the teacher was the source and the owner, the beginning and the end of knowledge, I think is coming to an end. So it is enhancing educational experiences and supporting student learning and achievement. Our intention is to help the learner better, to make the learner better than when they came to class. So there are different levels of ICT in teaching and learning. Again, I think this is very key. And I like this because there's a lot of confusion around ICT integration in teaching and learning, digital literacy. So where is it? What is the cut line? So ICT integration in teaching and learning is when I bring technology, for example, to class, use PowerPoint and play it. I have a class of 70 students and we don't have tablets. We do not have a laptop. We do not have a computer lab. So with my one laptop that is personal, I may decide to download a video and introduce my lesson in class. I'm teaching adjectives. Maybe there's a song. So I'll introduce a song, I'll bring in a song and the learners will be watching this song and then I'll ask them questions after that. That is ICT integration in teaching and learning. It is about the teacher making their work easy, like Salim said. One of the benefits of ICT is to simplify the teacher's role so that the teacher doesn't have to talk again and again, bring in technology to help them break down information maybe that could be complex or abstract to the learners to understand. So the teacher uses PowerPoint. The teacher may download things from FED, from all those online platforms to get learners understand better. That is ICT, integration in teaching and learning. So what is digital literacy? Digital literacy is what Salim was talking about. And I think Mabor was also talking about it during COVID. During COVID, you were sending assignments to your students and your students were sending back, maybe using Google Classroom, using Kahoot, using all those there were so many platforms and teachers were sharing all these experiences. So the lucky teachers who are interested in technology, I think they really enjoyed themselves at that time. So when a learner is engaging with technology in the learning, then that is digital literacy. If I took my laptop to the classroom and asked my students, can you search? We are learning about volcanicity. Can you search for volcanicity and come up with notes on this? Tomorrow you're going to present. So they're going to this site, going to that site, going to that site, going to that site. That is digital literacy. And why digital literacy is important is because as the students are manipulating and navigating and doing all those things, they are developing their digital literacy skills. Now, these are the students we are preparing for coding and engineering and all those things. The students we are teaching through ICT integration, as learners, we are teaching to appreciate learning so that they're not bored in class, they are active. So that's why we are saying, as a teacher, you cannot just say, now I am not able to do coding. If those technology things in CBC are too much for me, something has to happen. There has to be a change. You could either integrate your ICT in class, or if you have the facilities, then introduce digital literacy. Digital literacy is where I have set my exams, and maybe I'm in this school that is enabled infrastructure-wise manner of ICT, set my exams, send to the students, they're at home, they're able to ask their parents for phones. Mom, there's an assignment. The parent will give the student the phone, they will do the work. At the comfort of my seat at home, I'm able to see that out of my 50 students, 32 have responded. So tomorrow when I go to class, I'll ask so-and-so, why didn't you do it? So the teacher is interacting with technology, the students are interacting with technology. That is digital literacy in teaching and learning. So the users of ICT tools in class. Why do we use ICT tools in class? One is to create and deliver an engaging lesson. I think I've talked about that. To conduct research. I hear my PP1, we call them PP1, nursery school daughter calls them projects. So as at now in Kenya, we have CBC in grade 1, 2, 3, I think up to 6. Next year, they're going to grade 7. So they have been introduced things called projects where they are told and do this and do that, do that. In the event that there is no technology, then they are doing it with the easily available resources. When there's technology, they are told, go online, go to this site, download this, paste it here, write notes about it. That is digital literacy, like I have mentioned. They also used to submit assignments. With COVID, some teachers do not want to touch books of learners. So it's easier if you're enabled, then they can use that to submit. For management and administration, ICT is also used for assessment. So it's used for assessment as learning, where assessment is done during the lesson. So the teacher can bring in Mentimeter like what we did at the beginning of it and just ask learners, throw in questions here and there as learning is going on to just assess the level of learning that is going on. It can also be used for teaching. This is formative, where we are doing the quizzes after the end of a topic, we go on. It can also be used of learning, and I think this is what has always happened, where we assess learners at the summative. And you have heard Tom say that in Kenya, we are going E, and maybe in the near future, our students will be doing their exams on online platforms because there are places that exams cannot reach. I saw on the media the other day, we were doing a national exam and the CEO of Teacher Service Commission was literally wading in water in some county. It had rained they went there with a chopper. For you to get to the remotest school of that county, floods were all over the place. So maybe in future, those places where exams could not reach, because that is usually a very, very important exercise for the country, they will go online so that you don't have to wade in water to get your nanny. So that is summative. We are assessing of learning for placement, which school, the bottleneck kind of thing, where the very top will go to these kind of schools, the middle ones will go here, and those who are struggling are placed where they are. Of course, I don't advocate for that, but that is what it is. So having said that, I have a few questions here for us. Is teaching that goes on like the Bungoma, the one that Tom has shared with us, is that digital literacy or ICT integration? I want someone to respond to that before I go to question number 2. Anyone? The teaching that goes on in Bungoma.
Yes.
Yeah.
John from Sierra Leone.
Yes, John.
Yeah. From what you explained,
yeah,
the digital literacy is where the pupils themselves involved in using the knowledge the teacher has brought to the classroom to make their own learning.
Yeah.
So for me, that one that was done is more of a ICT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is more of ICT integration. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. When we are using Zoom.
When we are using Zoom, also this one can be a mix of digital and the same as ICT integration, because sometimes if a learner will be asked to present an assignment or do presentation through the Zoom, where the teacher can also try to assess the learners in that one. So, and also teachers also can be able to use this particular Zoom also to teach learners. You know, so it can, this one is it can be both of the digital literacy and ICT also in the ICT integration also.
Very true, because both of them are engaging. First, they are able to log in. As they are logging in, there's literacy going on there. Then they are able to do, the teacher is also doing their thing on the other end. So I'd like to stop at that. Thanks a lot, John. And now I want us to ask, I just want 5 questions. I just want 5 questions, then we wrap it up. You can also post your question on the chat. Question 1.
Kristen.
Yes.
Yes, you have confused me now to differentiate ICT integration from digital literacy. Because for me, teaching and learning, if we are doing the constructive way, we need learners to manipulate the gadgets. So to me, in ICT integration, from my point of view, is teaching and learning where both the teacher and the learners are manipulating the digital gadgets, and therefore, as they do that, learners are acquiring digital literacy skills.
Yeah. Okay. Is that a question or a comment?
It's just a comment about my confusion listening to the presentation. Sorry for that.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you. What we are trying to do is to say that no one is locked out. Because when we say that ICT integration is about the learner and students interacting with technology, I will ask you, in my village where the only laptop is in the chief's office or a desktop is in the chief's office, does that mean integration of technology cannot happen in that region? So we are trying to tell teachers that ICT integration cuts across everyone. You can integrate technology with your phone. You can integrate technology with a radio. You can do that. But now when you digital literacy is where you are introducing these things with the hope of that engineering student. And you see, the minute you introduce, especially with students, the minute you give them your phone, they will want to start manipulating because there's that interest that is coming in. So actually ICT integration is the beginning of digital literacy. It is the beginning of literacy because of the interest that is coming in. Next time a child gets a phone somewhere, they will ask, can I use your phone? And they try exploring. Next time you leave your laptop, they will ask, can I try to connect your PowerPoint connection for you? Or can I do this for you? Can I prepare a slide to present? Digital literacy is happening. So in future, actually in future, we'll not be talking about integration of technology. We'll be talking about how digital literate are you? And I think that's what we are even asking teachers. How digital literate are you? Are you able to create a PowerPoint presentation? Are you able to make lesson plan? Because we'll be past ICT integration. But as at now, there's that cut where we are trying to integrate. We are infusing technology in our teaching and learning in a manner that we don't separate technology and teaching. We are just bringing technology to help us translate that which students are finding difficult to understand. That is ICT integration. Bring the technology, try to help students understand. We always say seamlessly. You use it seamlessly so that the computer is not there seated and you're telling students this is a computer and this is a mouse and this is a keyboard and those kind of things. It is bringing technology and bringing it inside your lesson so that you use it. It helps you to communicate to the students in a manner that students can understand. Another question?
Hello.
Yes.
Thank you very much, my neighbor, for all this wonderful presentation. It's been Mabur from South Sudan.
Okay.
And it's so very nice indeed. Mine was just like asking whether were you targeting primary or secondary, and what are actually the level of integration of ICT in education in Kenya?
It cuts. Tom, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, thanks to Tom. Even Tom, I was asking Tom whether in his application of ICT in terms of continuous developments, and they do a process online and all that, were you using the website or just the special application that you are using for you to do a process and also training of teachers? I think Tom, thank you also too for your presentation.
Okay, I don't see Tom online. So I think I'll respond to that. Your question is ICT, was Tom talking about ICT in basic in CBC classes or in high school? The school that Tom shared is a high school. But in Kenya, ICT integration, it cuts across from preschool all through to secondary school to university, are being encouraged to use technology for their teaching and learning. Actually, in our curriculum design, there's even a coding component where the teacher is supposed to start gradually introducing students to coding. The only challenge is the same challenge that cuts across everywhere. In a place where we don't have all these things, how is it going to happen? Because so in schools in Nairobi, for example, they do that. They even borrow resources to try and do that. But what about schools in the villages? So this is happening in small scale. And we are hoping that the government of the day, because they have partnered with MasterCard and all these technology innovation, big giants of technology innovations, they have partnered with them so that they are able to bring in technology into the classroom and support the government, because we always say there's no money. I wanted to use that. We do not have funds. to acquire all these resources at once, but we are trying to do it in small scale. That's my response, Mabor. Does that answer your question?
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Are
But
you
I
getting
also
me?
saw
Thank you very much.
I saw you talk
Yes.
about education.net.
Hello?
Yes, someone is asking a question, but I was also
Hello.
asking Mabor a question. Yes?
All right. Hello, Christine.
Yes.
Yeah, I am Amadou Sheku Konte, Sierra Leone. I want to ask a question to Dr. Tom. Dr. Tom. I want to know how we are able to get all teachers on board in ICT. He made mention that from recruitment, promotion, transfer, and all the rest on for teachers is done online. And we know we have a good number of teachers who are born before computer, that is born BBC, born before computer. You know, how are they able to get them on board, you know, on the use of ICT?
Okay, Dr. Tom left. Huh?
Yeah, I hope Dr. Tom had my question well.
Can I make a suggestion? If we can get you to type your questions to Dr. Tom in the chat box, we will email them.
Okay,
And
all
we
right.
will see everyone so you can see his responses to your questions. There were already a couple of questions. Please do type them in the chat box. We will email from UNESCO.
All
and
right,
you can
Miriam, I will do. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, because he's left, then we can share with him and we'll present in the next meeting. So I think we are running late and we'll still have these meetings so we can carry our questions to the next meeting. I just want to appreciate everyone who came to the meeting and I hope that you found this very, very fruitful. I did. There was a lot of sharing and I think experiences and knowledge. We all learned from one another. So we are hoping to have our next meeting, I think in the next 1 or 2 months. And I wish to see all of us again, because we'll still be talking about ICT integration in teaching and learning. It is a forest, so we are trying to wade through and comb out all the gray hair so that we all have a common understanding of what this big animal is. So thank you so much from my end. And thanks a lot, Philomen. I would like to hand it over to Marianne to close the day.
Christine and Philomen, wonderful job facilitating the discussion today. It seems like even 2 hours is not enough time to really have a deep discussion on this topic. We went half an hour over time, but it was all right. And we could have even gone longer, but we do have to wrap it up. I'm wondering then maybe Philomen, you could speak a bit about the topics for the next meeting and maybe the date of the next meeting. Should we have this topic, a different one? Philomen, if you can get some.
Thank you, Christine, and the rest of the presenters. Those were wonderful lessons learned. We've learned a lot. I especially learned a lot on ICT. Thank you, my co-facilitator, Christine, for that lesson.
Thank you.
And
Thank you so much.
So,
Group photo, let's not forget about group photo.
Now that we've come to the tail end of the activity, what are your thoughts for the next meeting? What do you think about the next meeting, topic for discussion for our next meeting, and the time schedule for the next meeting? Members, please come up with your thoughts.
Okay.
John again. So this one, as Miriam said, it was very interesting topic, and I've learned a lot. And I would like that if we can also have another session on this to have a deep understanding from other presenters too. Because this one is very key. Like Miriam was asking if this can replace a teacher. No, but it really can, if you ever help us to take us far, you know, for CBC to be really accepted, to be to make us, our children future very bright. I think CBC is the way. But when we integrate CBC, ICT in the CBC and with all digital knowledge, it will lessen the job of teachers. I think this is one of the areas we need to really emphasize as a community of practice, and we make sure we make use of it we emphasize it to our teachers everywhere we go. Whenever we have a meeting with our stakeholders, education stakeholders, we need to emphasize the importance of this. I think having one of these, for me, I think we also need another session to that so that we can really go a deeper things from this thing. Thank you. It's my own suggestion.
Thank you,
yeah.
John, for that wonderful suggestion. Yeah, he suggested that we continue with this topic. Anyone else with a different thought?
Someone says the topic is assessment in CBC. Should be our next point of discussion.
Yeah.
Are there any more suggestions, Philemon? Should we take a vote?
Are we voting today, Miriam?
Sorry, Philemon, what was your question?
Should we vote today, or we allow the COP members to think over it and then send in their vote?
Yeah. I think that will be,
maybe we can take a few ideas from this group now, take a few ideas and then put them into the chat box on WhatsApp and ask people to vote on them. What do you think?
Hello.
Yes.
Hi.
Yeah, Mercy, I'm supporting the one that is talking about assessment using ICT in competency-based curriculum. No, we have to assess our learners, yes, but we really need to know how to assess learners using ICT.
Yes.
So if you can, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Yes, yeah.
Go on.
Yeah. Are you getting me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm supporting actually to explore on the assessment platform, both of them, if we could find a best way of assessing the offline and online. Because our challenge during COVID-19, when we have some platform that we're using, is how to assess both the offline learning on ICT and online learning. And I think we need to explore as this platform could come up with approaches that are applicable.
Great.
Okay.
That's a good suggestion. Marianne?
Yes, Philemon. So I think we should take it to WhatsApp because we're going a bit over time now. Maybe you can take note of the suggestions for the meeting, Philemon, and then ask on WhatsApp if anyone else has suggestions and we take a vote. Does that sound like a plan?
That's good.
Thank you, bye.
Can we suggest a date for the meeting? Or do we take it?
We'll also
next
vote
Thursday.
On
We are used to the Thursday meeting. should be meeting on Thursday.
Fatu Joseph from the Gambia. Hi. Anyway, I was suggesting that some people want us to continue with the presentation on the integration of ICT in competency-based. And some people want us to do the assessment bit of it. I was thinking that we can do both. For example, if we ask somebody to present, on ICT, the person can present the way he or she implement the challenges, at the same time incorporate the way he or she assess when teaching ICT, integrating ICT in curriculum. So I was thinking we can do, the presenter can present on both. Thank you. Thank you, Fatu. for that wonderful suggestion. Marian, do we suggest the date today, or we take it to the WhatsApp page, the date for the next meeting?
Well, you could ask for people's input now if you want. Usually we have one every month. So if we were to look at January, then what would work for most people? And then we can take a final vote on WhatsApp.
Yeah,
Good. What are your thoughts for our next meeting? When do you think it's visible for us to meet?
Yes, I think January is fine. Now that we are close to the end of the year, you know, I think January will be fine.
Great. When exactly in January? Beginning, mid, or end?
Mid-January. So just my suggestion.
Great.
Suggestion.
Anyone else?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
I support. Okay.
Hello.
I
Hi.
support.
Mid-January. Mid-January, okay.
Yeah, the same mid-January, but it should be the same day, Thursday. We are used to meet on Thursday.
Well,
anyone else with a different suggestion?
Thursday, mid-January will be fine.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Mid-January. Great.
Yeah, let me see.
Anyone else with a different view?
Yes, I can suggest January. It can be maybe 12th of January or 19th January. That dates fall on Saturday.
Okay, 12 or 19. Okay.
19, yeah. 19 we support 19.
19, okay. So
Thursday,
Marianne,
19.
oh, okay, that's great. Marianne, I'm suggesting we also take it to a vote. You take it to the WhatsApp group where members vote as well as for when the next meeting will hold, because people are given different views, mid, 12 or 19. These are the 3 dates mentioned. Marianne, over to you.
All right, colleagues, thank you so much. What an engaging meeting this was. We should have gone longer, but you know, we don't have the time and we need to take a break. But this is very, this topic is very evocative, and it really brings out strong opinions from people, clear ideas about what we feel is the future of education. It seems like we take technology as an unambiguously positive force in the classroom, but we need to think about what is the most impactful force in the classroom. It's still going to be a teacher. Even Bill Gates, one of the most important and influential innovators in education, even he said a quote, which I'll quote to you: technology is just a tool in terms of getting the kids to work together and motivating them, but the teacher is always the most important. So technology can do a lot, and I think we're motivated by the creative and the new ways in which it pushes our thinking, but it cannot replace a good teacher. It can support a teacher to become better, but it cannot replace the teacher. So in fact, as we move to the future of education in the 21st century, the need for both technology and even stronger teachers becomes more apparent. It's not that great technology can in any way replace great teaching or become teaching in itself. Technology is not teaching. So we still need our focus sharply on teachers. So I really appreciated the points of the discussion today that connected teacher training. So we have to capacitate teachers. We need to support teachers and treat them as agentic and not deficient. Yes, many of them were born before technology was used in their own classrooms, and many of them are coming into this as digital immigrants, not digital natives. But that doesn't mean that we need to treat them as if they are deficient in some way. They have a lot of knowledge, and if we look at the methods of approaches towards teaching that look at all people as having knowledge that can build onto new knowledge, teachers, whether or not they have access to technology, they have a lot right now that they already know about. So we can connect what they know with what they don't know yet. So please, those of you that have any contact with teachers in any way, let's start thinking about them as the real transformative factor in education, with technology hand in hand, but the teacher will still be the most important force in the classroom. So let's equip them, let's support them, and let's help them to use technology to meet students' needs. So the UNESCO theme of this year was the transformation of education begins with teachers. That will always be a strong central theme towards education strengthening. So I'll just leave you with these thoughts, but I like the ideas that came up today and Fauto's suggestion from the Gambia that we try to integrate the new ideas that have come up for the next meeting, maybe something to do with assessment in CBC combined with using technology for assessment. That could be a future topic. So we'll take it to the WhatsApp group for a vote. And that's all for the meeting today. I wish you all a very good evening. And I know we took a picture before at the very beginning, so we won't repeat the picture now, but I'll leave us with an ending song. We will look back at the children from Uganda, the Masaka kids, and they'll help us to say goodbye to each other and also happy holidays, because this is a holiday song.
Some of us were taking on the picture.
Christmas.
January.
Okay, everyone, we will see you next time in January. And wishing you a happy holidays, everyone.
Sure the same.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Happy Christmas.
Thank you,
Happy
Salim, for the
Christmas.
presentation.
Happy Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank